In this video, I will be showing you how to get a fully interactable remote Ubuntu Linux desktop session on the AWS EC2 platform. We will be using a pre-configured image from Panoptesoft, which uses the VNC protocol to access the desktop and requires no additional software beyond the web browser you already have on your device. First, we will go to the AWS Marketplace website and search for Panoptesoft to see all of our product listings. We offer Ubuntu images from both the latest normal release as well as the latest long-term support releases of Ubuntu. We also have separate images which work on the ARM architecture instances of EC2. For this tutorial, we will be using the Ubuntu VNC desktop image. So we will click this link here, which will take us to the listings webpage. The listings webpage will have an overview of the various details of the image, the pricing, and how to use it, and the support details. To get started using this listing, we are going to click the Continue to Subscribe button and accept the terms. Once the subscription request finishes processing, which should take about 30 seconds, we can click this button to continue to configuration. For the purposes of this tutorial, we will be keeping all of the settings their default values. So we can go ahead and click the Continue to Launch button to begin using this image. On this page, we see more information about the image as well as the last few settings that are required before launching the instance. This button here, Usage Instructions, will show you a text overview of how to access the instance once it is running and contains similar information as to what we are going over in this video. Most of these settings we will be leaving on their default for the purposes of this tutorial. However, one important thing to note is that the EC2 instance type we are using, the T3.medium, is the minimum viable instance type for running this image. If you were to choose an instance type which has fewer resources than the T3.medium, meaning there are fewer virtual cores or less memory, then we may not have enough resources to properly run the instance or access it through the software required. In the future, you can certainly use a different instance type that contains more power through CPU or memory, or different hardware, but that is going to depend on your personal usage case as well as the amount of money that you want to spend. We will also be keeping the VPC settings at their default as well as the subnet settings on their default. The first setting that we have to change is the security group settings. To do this, we click on the Create New Based on Seller Settings button. This will allow us to create a security group based on the one that Panoptesoft has already established. This makes sure that we have access to the running instance through VNC, the website, or SSH protocols so we can actually utilize the instance once it is running. To finish setting this up, all we need to do is give a name to the security group as well as a description. Once those are set, we can click the Save button, and in a few moments, we have our new security group. The last thing to check before launching the instance is to make sure you have a valid key pair so that you can access the instance through SSH if required and perform certain EC2 command line interface commands if you so desire. If you do not know how to do this, please look at a tutorial from AWS that goes over this process. Once you have a key pair set, we click this Launch button. Now that we have launched our instance, we can click on this link to open up our EC2 console. Once the EC2 console has loaded, we can see at the top our running instance. If we click on that, we get more information about our instance, including the public IP address which is required to access it. If we click on this image next to the IP address, we can copy it to the clipboard and then paste it into our web browser to access the instance. For the username, we use Ubuntu, and the password will be the instance ID of your running instance. And again, you can click this button to copy the instance ID to your clipboard and then paste it into the login screen. We now click the login button to take us to our remote Ubuntu Linux desktop. We can now use this desktop as we would any other Ubuntu Linux installation. The performance of this instance will be dependent upon the instance type that you selected when setting up the instance to launch, as well as the internet connection from your computer to the AWS EC2 servers. All of the Panoptesoft images already contain the software installed and set up, including GLX, to make sure that you can run your graphical applications without any problems. The performance of these applications, again, will be dependent on the instance type that you have selected. And for any 3D applications that require more resources, we suggest checking out instance types that are backed by GPUs to utilize the full power of GPU processing. In addition to accessing the desktop through the use of a web browser, you can also access the desktop through a VNC client of your choosing. To do this, we open our VNC client and again copy the IP address of our instance and put it into our VNC client. Again, we will use the password from our instance, which is the instance ID, which we can again copy onto the clipboard, paste into the login on our client, and now we have access again to the desktop. We hope that this tutorial was helpful in preparing you to utilize any of the Ubuntu VNC desktop images from Panoptesoft. If you need any further help, you can email support@panoptesoft.com with your questions. Thanks for watching.